spend time with some family friends.
Oh, nice. Sounds
Yeah,
really cozy.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Hey,
Hey,
man.
hello.
Hey, Kai.
Hey,
Oh,
Kai.
I see we've started already.
Yeah, yeah. I was chatting with Ian. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You'll need to unlock your iPhone. It doesn't look like.
Siri wants to start as well.
Oh, did I
I think.
pronounce your name correctly, Ian?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome. I'm super excited for this. Yeah, I mean, I'll share more later, but when the other students come. So Edwin, we should have about 9 students coming. This is Akira just
Okay.
joined. Akira is Rocket Academy's head of education,
All
and
right.
so he's overseeing a lot of our curriculum.
All right. Hi, Akira. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so a few more students from batch 1 that are joining in now. I think Michelle should be coming as well, right, Akira?
Yep.
She's probably just taking a bathroom break.
Okay.
Awesome. Edwin, just to give you a brief background on our students. So there should be 9 of them joining today across batches 1 and 2 for Rocket Academy. Batch 1 started in October. Each of the batches is a 6-month course. Batch 1 started in October and they're graduating in April. And then batch 2 started in January and they're graduating in June. And so each of the batches is going to be starting to apply for jobs roughly in the last month of their course as they wrap up as they work on their final projects and learn more advanced topics about software engineering. And so the batch 1 guys are getting to that point. They are, right now it's February, they're going to be graduating at the beginning of April. So actually in March is the time when they're going to be starting to send out job applications and go out and do the interviews, start to do some interviews. Yeah.
Not easy.
Not
Not
easy,
easy
yeah.
for you all. Like got two overlapping.
Yeah, it's fun though. We get to hang out with all these folks. And what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the background of many of the students is that we are mostly career switchers. So people who either went to university and studied something other than computer science and then have been working for a few years, or in the case of some of us who've been working for quite a number of years kind of done something in a completely different industry. For example, Michelle was in horse. She was training horses for.
Oh wow.
I know she's right here. Yeah, and then she's
Okay.
making the switch to tech, and it's been doing really great so far.
That's so interesting. Yeah. Wow.
Great. Okay, I think everyone's here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Who's missing? Is Kenrick? Kenrick should be coming soon. Yeah, I'm not worried about him. Yeah, so it should be one more student coming, but we'll just let him trickle in. And I think we can just get started.
Can. Anyway, thanks for hosting this.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for being here. I know you're super busy. Yeah.
No problem.
Okay, great. Let me just briefly introduce Edwin and then we can get started. Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, great. So really excited to welcome Edwin today. Edwin is the CTO, Chief Technology Officer at a company called Talenox, which Edwin is a co-founder of. He's been one of the founders of the company since the start, and the start was roughly 6 years ago, if I'm not wrong.
Yep.
You're right. 6 years ago. Talenox is a HR software as a service company. So they build HR software that helps companies, especially smaller SMEs, SMEs, to manage their HR, their payroll, their leave, their deductions in a simple way that is integrated with all the Singapore government tax regulations and the banks, which makes it much easier. Rocket Academy is one of their customers. Yeah. And so I was chatting, I think I first started chatting with Edwin a year ago, as we were, because a couple of our students at the time were interested in Talenox, and Edwin had given them some really good interview questions, or not just technical interview questions, but Edwin also has he has a social, I'm revealing all your secrets now. He has like a soft skills test at the beginning where he sends people a few questions and just to get a better sense of who people are personally before you go into the coding questions. And I thought that was really insightful because especially at a startup, the culture of the employees matters a lot. it's not so much about having the best engineer, it's more about having the best team.
Yeah.
Right. And the best team is a team that works together with a common culture and shared goals and all that. Yeah, so I really appreciated that about Edwin, and Talenox is one of the companies that I would love if any of us could go and work at. So that's why we have Edwin here today.
Thank you for the very kind introduction. Yeah, you introduced Talenox better than me.
Yeah, okay. Well, I hope not. Yeah. And then prior to Talenox, Edwin had worked at a couple engineering jobs, and I think Edwin studied information systems at SMU.
Yeah,
if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So
hand it off to Edwin.
Yeah, so after like SMU, I decided I've always wanted to do my own company, not because I wanted to start one, but because I wanted to work with a team of good people. And after some time, I didn't know what to do. Or what company to start rather, to be exact. So I headed to the US for about a year. And after that, I came back and I figured out that the HR space actually has a problem and that there are no good solutions yet. Yeah, and after that, I just thought to start a company around it. So to be candid, like I wouldn't say I have passion around HR, but I really grew to love the users, and that's why we do what we do and what drives me every day. Yeah, yeah. So actually, how should we start this?
Yeah, so I think we don't have to do a long intro. I think we open up to questions for the students have prepared questions. Yeah.
Can. Yeah. So if you all have anything you want to ask me, you can let me know. So in our team, actually, we have people from all backgrounds. Actually, like some dropped out of school and they became programmers, and that's how I knew them. Yeah. Some actually were some. There's a mom that got a PhD, but she stopped work for about 10 years. She was then after that she couldn't, as her kids grew up already, she couldn't find a suitable company that allowed her to manage her family work-life balance. So she actually wanted to spend time with the kids or also do programming. Yeah, so she actually I found her through a friend when I was hiking through Vietnam, and that's how I met. So we have many people from different backgrounds in Talenox. Yeah.
Hi, Edwin. Thanks for coming. Yeah, my name is Jikon and I have a question. So I know like there are quite a lot of like HR solutions out there in the market, right? So I also presume like getting like companies to adopt your solutions to be like one of the more challenging parts of the business. So what are some of the lessons you and your team may have learned in this?
It's a good question. Actually, we don't believe in hard selling. So it's a different way of doing business. So we try to attract people to good solutions. Yeah. So a lot of our customers actually come from word of mouth or you seeing our brand online. So we try to educate people on what's good and what's good to use. Yeah. So we approach it differently and that way. So that's why if you look at our content, our site, we try to produce useful content around the HR space so that you can actually learn something out of it. Yeah. And I will explain to people that the business is kind of like an airline industry actually. There's just a lot of airlines if you want to fly to like Kuala Lumpur. But which airline do you choose and how do you experience it? Yeah. So even though everyone says that they're the easiest to use, right? Like no one will say that they're terrible or bad to use in some way. But I guess you will just have to experience it, and that's the hard part of selling the business. Yeah. So it takes time to build a lot of trust. So from my experience, like sometimes people like complain about us, but they try to use a competitor and then they realize, oh yeah, actually Talenox is a lot better, and then they come back. Yeah, so those became our best users because they realize. But sometimes if you compare us to actually a lot of like maybe very good apps, we are actually not there yet. Like like maybe if you look at a lot of apps in the US, like Stripe, or a lot of people that build in a lot of intuitive user experiences. Talenox is still, in some way, there's still a large gap to be there. But the reason is also mainly like we need a lot of time to get a lot of things right. But thank you. Yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah.
Thanks for insights. Yeah.
No problem. Yeah.
Hi, Edwin.
Hi,
Thanks
Edwin.
for.
Yeah, sorry.
Edwin,
Please go ahead first. Yeah.
okay, thanks. Hi, Edwin. Thanks for joining us today and sharing your experience. Just now, when Kai was introducing you, he mentioned like the importance of culture fit at Talenox. I wanted to hear from you. What exactly are you looking for in a candidate? And also, or maybe another way of phrasing the questions, what is the culture at Talenox like?
I guess remote working is very, very common now. Or like you learn remote online, but we have started it since I would say almost the beginning. Yeah, like when we were working at cafes and yeah, we have some team members in Malaysia, so that and Talenox, in a way, I think people would describe us as a family. Yeah, I would say family, but the reason is sometimes I'm scared of using this word. A bit scared, yeah. But we tried our best to take care of people. We gave them the space. We gave them a space. I think the team members also describe it that a lot of the team members are kind. Like we try our best to also grow a person. That's why if you look at culture fit, I would say character matters. Your character and passion matters a lot more than I would say raw intelligence or like you're really really good at something. Because if any of you were to go through our interviews, we don't test for like how fast you learn something, because everyone actually has different responsibilities in their life also. What we test for is your maturity, like how do you think, like what's your dream? Actually, one of the questions is really like what's your dream, and there are reasons why I ask these questions, and because we want to see your outlook of life and how well you can work well in a team, yeah, and not like, oh, there's a mistake, like how do you actually handle it, yeah. So we really care about that. The skills comes next, because we believe that by working with people passionate in technology, you can actually learn and grow very fast. Yeah. So don't worry. So I guess yeah, the starting point doesn't matter so much, but the test, because we are on Ruby on Rails, so not many. It's not easy to find people that already knows Ruby on Rails. So that's why the test actually puts you through this. So I'll just share it a bit. Like, so the first interview is a series of questions that I'll ask you. And the reason why I actually don't meet people face to face till the third stage, it's not because I don't care, but the thing is that because we are remote and texting matters a lot. So you will have to know how to communicate well with the team in text already. Yeah, so if you can't communicate your ideas well through text, then it's going to be very difficult for you to actually thrive in the culture. That's why knowing how well you communicate through text matters. Yeah, so after that, the second stage, if you pass the first stage of the interview through the questions, the second stage will ask you about to put you through a Ruby on Rails tutorial. So the tutorial is paid now. It used to be free. It's about 30 something bucks US dollars. But if you finish the tutorial, we will reimburse you. Yeah, so we approach it differently, because if you're willing to learn, we will reimburse you. Yeah, and after that, once you finish it, at the last stage, actually, we will go through a fun puzzle with you. Like, so many tech companies actually wants to put people through this puzzle to test how good you are or how capable you are. But we go through this puzzle not to see how capable a candidate is. Some people can do the test very well or very fast. Some, we want to see how they handle every other thing. Like how do you communicate? How do you ask for help? How do you like understand certain things or solve certain things? Yeah. So I guess that's the culture. I would say through the interviews you can view the culture also. We don't, if you don't know something, actually we'll always be happy to teach. Yeah. At the end of the day, yeah, I guess that's why there are family like feelings. Yeah, but it's a bit scary running a company sometimes, with that word. Yeah, but yeah, like that's how I describe Talenox. Yeah.
sounds like you treat your staff first as people and then as employees, which is a really cool thing. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, you're exactly right. My role is not a boss. If they ever see me that as a boss, I'll be very sad. But as a leader, like I have to decide and do some things. Yeah, but at the end of the day, we are all working together and we'll share the success together. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hi, Edwin. This is
Hi,
Edwin
yeah.
from batch 1. So yeah, just to add on to Jitcon's question just now, what were the things that you thought was lacking in the HR space in Singapore that kind of like spurred you to create Talenox?
Oh, like it's just very difficult to use it. Like I don't know, when I use their apps, I feel like I sweat and I panic. Yeah, like yeah. So actually, that was actually the key thing that actually made me want to do it. It's kind of strange now, but I don't know. Like today is very very obvious. Like you sign up and use the app. Yeah, and then you download an app from the app store and you use it. But it's strange. I can tell you that when we started out, no one does it. Yeah, like it's kind of strange. Yeah, like you still need to have a salesperson like to call you and to onboard you to teach you how to use the app because the app is difficult to use. Their app is so difficult to use, right? And you need someone to guide you. Like so I feel that I felt really like it shouldn't be that way. So when we started out, yeah. And my co-founder was also in a HR outsourcing space. So they saw the problem as well. Yeah. So like I guess when we started out, it's not that the competitors were not good also. I think some of them were actually ahead of their time. But we just saw the problem very differently, like how it should be solved and how it should be made more usable. Yeah. 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 I think that's how we saw it very, very differently from others. Yeah. I guess there's no like magic formula. Truth is we also made a lot of mistakes. Like when you come out of your interface, it's just not going to be right the first time. Yeah. So if you ever want to do your own startup also. But it's more important if your heart is in the right place. Like you just have to keep iterating and like make there's a saying where like just make a few users very 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 happy rather than making everyone very happy. Yeah. So we always strive for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the philosophy that you mentioned just now is a really good mindset to have.
Yeah.
So thanks for that.
Thank you. And I will admit, actually, it's a luxury. So, we are lucky in some way. I would say that we are lucky that we figured out a lot of the things that can work and can work at scale. But at the same time, one day if you were to create your own company, it's also possible to create luck. Yeah, like what do I mean is by having your heart in the right place, so to just want to help people, and that at the same time you will just create more luck. Yeah, to help yourself and the company and the team. So yeah.
Hi, Edwin. Zeph here. You said
Hi,
that you went to the US for 1 year, and then throughout the experience, that's how you like found a problem in the HR space. Could you share a bit about like what exactly did you do in the US that led you to like find out this problem?
Yeah, I didn't exactly do like something to find out the problem, I guess. I have always been, I would say, looking at the companies that people are starting. Like, for example, at that time, now they were called Zampero, but now they're rebranded as Gusto. So I was seeing the few companies that were being started in that space. So I read a lot. I realized that why do people see this problem? So I just started asking myself that. And then that's when I started looking at the space in Singapore's context as well. Like, I mean, I've always been looking at problems this way. So that's when I started thought maybe this could be a worthwhile problem to solve. Yeah, it's actually a very boring problem also. Yeah, in some way, yeah, like but at the same time, like it's like just so basic, but yet people just don't get it right. And there are really industry challenges why it's so basic and no one got it right. Because if you look at not only our software and you just look at the entire HR industry itself, yeah, it just takes a lot to get it right. So I guess at that time in Singapore, I would say that a lot of it really is a lack of the market size. Yeah. So if you were to ever do anything in Singapore or Southeast Asia itself, you will face a large challenge, very different from other countries because your market size is really a lot smaller. So if you can't get your user base sufficiently, yeah, there's no way you are going to make it. Yeah, yeah. So I would say that like it's part luck that we identified this space that we really wanted to solve. Yeah, I would say it's not like there's nothing like inspirational, but more like just keep reading and learning. Yeah, like I'm always looking at the different spaces and see how it's all related. Yeah, somewhere. Yeah. So yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Hi Edwin, Veena here. So yeah,
Hi.
you
Yeah.
were earlier mentioning about the recruitment process and the quality you look in the people, right? So yeah, and you just mentioned that you recruited one mother who was having a career gap of 10 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, so the qualities that you look in a person having the gap or and the other people's, right? So what will be the difference that you will be taking into consideration in that case? So what will you be expecting from such a person who has a career gap? Yeah, because I am
Oh,
also in like a kind of situation. That's why I'm asking. Yeah, okay.
understand. Actually, when I will just share from how she shared when she was finding. She was looking for an opportunity that she told me frankly that she prioritizes family first, and that if anything were to happen for kids' time, yeah. So she told me that she will need the flexibility, like and like she can only work like, in the mornings or certain days, and in the afternoon she would spend time with the kids. Then later late afternoon, then she could work again. Um, but in Talenox, actually, I told her honestly, I don't or we don't really like say these are the work hours you must work and you just need to stay to that. There's good and bad to this system. So a lot of it is a self-driven system. So you're just accountable to yourself as to what you want to do and how you want to achieve it with the team. Yeah, the team doesn't really like say, oh yeah, you need to work all these hours, and that will say you're an effective team member. Yeah, we don't do that because we see everybody's contributions and also I'll say some sacrifices like when she pushed out like an important feature, actually broke something over the weekends. So after spending time with the kids, she actually committed some time to actually fix it and supported the users. So I saw that and I told her that I really appreciate that and she needed help, any help, just let me know. I was there to ready for her. Yeah, so that's the thing, that's the culture like so you can define your space as to how you will want to work. We don't tell you how to do it. Yeah, you just have to coordinate. Let's say if you need time to understand the code base, so you just need to arrange some time with the different engineers, but you don't have to commit that we think people shouldn't work like that. However, there's a different side. So some people actually need fixed working hours, and the reason is also very simple. It's a lot easier for people to understand when they get shut off from work. So if you are, remote working, sometimes that's a problem. Like you might think, oh yeah, there's all this thing and work messages and how not to. So how I try to solve this problem is to separate work messaging and personal messaging. So you can have fun with the team and talk about different things like we will talk about. I mean, recently there's the Tanjong Pagar car crash. Yeah, it's quite sad, right? Now, so we just talk about anything personal, non-work related in Signal. or WhatsApp. But anything work related, we just stick to Slack so that if anybody else is working, they just talk in Slack. Yeah, you don't talk about work in WhatsApp and Signal. So we try to create these boundaries because we understand like in remote work and in this kind of setup, it's not about fixed working hours. It's about work-life integration actually. So sometimes you work at home, suddenly maybe your kid might want you, right? Or your baby might cry. Yeah, for me personally, my turtle will come disturb me during meetings. So yeah, there's all these things, and yeah, it's quite important. So that's how I can share, and that in the company we don't really worry too much about that. If you are a team member already, there's some trust, implicit trust, and that we understand, and there's a maturity in taking care of everyone, because everyone needs to be taken care of differently also. Yeah.
Thank you. I understand you as a good mentor in your company. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Edwin. Yeah, I wanted to ask, or I wanted to find out more about your experience about building a good software product. Yeah, so I can see that. I was just looking at Talenox website. So there's all these different aspects that makes Talenox. Like, the HR regulatory part, there's the UI UX, data security. There's partners with like banks such as DBS, and then there's integrations with the accounting software. Like, so I just want to ask, in your experience building Talenox, what were the more like difficult or more challenging aspects of building a good software product? If you were to yeah, that's because I imagine maybe something like building the CPF calculator. It's probably not the most challenging part of it. Yeah. So if you were to build Talenox again, what would you do differently, or what would you like prioritize on?
Oh, it's a good question. What I can share is the hardest is always deciding what not to do. Yeah. When you build a company, like in any startup, or if you want to do any idea, I believe that if you pick up enough skills, you can try your best to build or learn anything now. With the internet, if you all have interest in anything, you pick up the skill, you can go learn and build it. But yeah, however, the hardest part is always what not to do. Yeah. And it's really, really hard because you won't know a lot. Yeah. There's a lot of unknowns in the market actually. Like even when we decided to do this, we had to get some things right actually. It's rarely about, you can build a very good product, but uh, people might not still use it because maybe let's say if we are wrong, right? And actually SMEs want everything. Like, for example, currently we only have payroll and leave, but if SMEs want claims, and if they want like other things in the HR suite, then I can tell you we are totally wrong. Yeah. So the hard part in just really redoing everything is really understanding what not to do. Yeah. So it's really hard because the space, I can tell you, entering the HR space is quite scary. If you were to really want to enter any space, because the amount of features and the things that we need to do is really a lot. And I even have even friends that I knew about for 10 years, he would just come and scold me because we are remote working, right? Like I can work. I went to Canada to work for a year, yeah, and it was really a blessing to be there and to be able to work in Canada for a year. However, like people will scold you, oh, like why are you building your company overseas and everything? Is it not that you don't care anymore? No, we do. Actually, every feedback that people give in our company space camp is like a to-do list, right? So for all the engineers, we're a team of maybe 7 or 8 now. Like it's about 300 over tasks to do. At least my personal to-do list is also about 300 plus. So like and this is like 6 years in business and still payroll and leave. Like, so if you really care a lot about it to do something, yeah, just even payroll and leave, there's just so much to do. Yeah, that a lot of people don't realize. So really like trying to understand what not to do, no matter what company or what things you do, it's really the most challenging thing, and in understanding the unknown. Yeah.
I thought that was a very interesting answer because like deciding or trying to prioritize what to do or what not to do is I don't know, I think it's quite a interesting situation. So maybe right, like if from the perspective of a person who builds a software product for customers, let's say if you do run into a dilemma, would you rather add on a new feature that would shucks, I don't know whether it sounds absurd. Would you rather add
It's
on
okay, yeah.
a new feature that helps you onboard more customers, or like or spend more time enhancing existing features? I don't know if that makes sense.
It's a good question actually, and I can tell you companies every day fight with the same question. But I mean, in my own personal experience, if it depends on your customers and your industry actually. So if your if you need if your team is if your company is designed to serve only a few important customers, then you know they are going to be your bosses literally, right? So you have to do all these things just because you are going to onboard a big customer like maybe DBS or CBC. Yeah. But if you're actually building for the masses, like in Talenox case, then you can actually have the room to spend time to think about it, because you building something for them doesn't mean that they will use it. Yeah, there's actually a lot more room. So you really need to understand your industry and your company. So that's the hard part about running the company. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Yeah.
Hi, it's Jeremy again. I was wondering if
Yeah.
you could share more about how you onboard new junior software engineers. For example, I mean, I understand from you it's pretty lean team, right? So do you still like have a buddy program? How long is probation usually for, and what do you look out for when deciding whether an engineer is suitable to pass that probation?
Oh, okay. Every company has a probation. We actually, I don't know, actually I never tell my team before, but the probation is administratively only. So let's say if anything happens, then no choice. We have to say like part our ways. But we have never ever exercised it before, except once. I think a candidate was in a very special circumstance. But once you're actually a teammate, we do our best to take care of each other. As for onboarding wise, every junior, even internships as well, but there will always be a mentor. Yeah, so you will have a mentor where you can first directly ask any questions regarding a certain thing or certain code base. It'll be related to what you work on. So let's say if you're working on the leave module, your mentor will be like a leading lead basically. So you can have direct access and ask. But sometimes some people might want to jump into other code bases. So actually the other engineers can help to actually talk about it and do. So that's how we actually mentor and help the different engineers. Also, there's no blaming or what. So there's enough automated tests in the system. So let's say if someone makes a bug, a lot of the critical flows actually have automated tests already. So we encourage engineers to add automated tests to the things that they add, so that it helps reduce bugs in the long run. And also, it doesn't have a blame culture in the engineering team. It's more like, oh yeah, there's a bug, let's quickly fix it. Yeah. So onboarding for engineers has been simplified so far over the years, whereby there's actually a document in Notion, so they can kind of onboard and get all the code base and get the entire system set up. However, it still takes about a day. Yeah. So just to set expectations, to everyone, because it takes a while to get set up, everything. Yeah. But once you are set up to go, then we always will help the person to get to their first task or first commit. Yeah, and that's all. So for the engineering experience, we try to also have monthly or I haven't been organizing as frequent, but we try to have tech talks. So we will record those tech talks so that people we want to understand like maybe something as simple as it could be like Docker or Kubernetes, because we're on Kubernetes, how it works and everything. Yeah. So if you're using Heroku, Kubernetes is similar. Yeah. And there's a reason why we teach people and encourage people to use Heroku. So because the build system is similar and how it will work, the underlying how it works and how it scales is similar. So we try our best to teach people the infrastructure, underlying infrastructure, so that they know what they can do also to push their infrastructure or to build the features that they want. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hi, Edwin. This is Joe. Thanks for your time.
Hi.
Yeah,
No
I just
problem.
wanted to ask more on like, when you were starting up Talenox, like what was your like lifestyle, and like you said it was difficult. Just generally, I'm sure hopefully it's gotten better for you in terms of the working hours, but just wondering what was the life like, and maybe also to add on, the kind of learnings that you had to more the technical kind of learnings, like how do you like incorporate that on top of what you already learned, like continually, right? It's a lifestyle of learning and whatnot. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good question. I think maybe more people should talk about it. So I guess it's an important question. When we started the company, I think I work about 16 hours, 16 hours a day for 3 years, actually, about 3 years. And that's how intense, yeah. And you must know that your first 2 years, you will probably be going without pay. Yeah, yeah. So we raised, actually, we know we are not a VC kind of company. That's the reason. If one day, if any of you were to want to raise venture capital or raise money, yeah, I can also give advice on that. So we actually we took money from some angel investors. Some of it you all will know, like Royston, they sold their company to Zendesk. Yeah, like we did that so that we can build the team. We built a team up. Yeah. So our first customer is actually a personal friend of mine and my neighbor actually, and then he was running a security guard company in Qatar. So we didn't have to raise funds. So our first customer was Middle Eastern. After that, we realized that the company had to scale, and what we are doing now, we will not be able to serve many customers. So we had to change. So we actually cut a lot of things that we had to do. That's why it's about what not to do. And then just to focus on prayer and leave and to get there. Even then, it was slow. So yeah, so for the first 3 years, yeah, that's really my working lifestyle. Really 16 hours a day. My co-founder Gordon actually know how hard I had to work, because I was only I was kind of the sole technical person. Then there was an engineer with me at our third year onwards, third year onwards. But yeah, there was still really a lot to do. Yeah, so my life really improved at the fourth year. Yeah, so yeah, like I only stick to about 8 hours. I stick to about 8-9 hours. Because sometimes I have to work after that because to help our customers. Yeah, but I stick to that regimen because you can start spending more time with your loved ones and family. I mean, there will be a lot of sacrifices around that. Yeah, so I was really glad I could spend more time with my family. Anyway, I never expected the team to also work like me. That's why we created this space also. And when you want to do a startup, that will happen. So now every day my working style is about 8 hours. So I commit to that. And then after that, I try to do as much as possible. And after that, I will just rest or read, yeah, and exercise and read more. Yeah. So that's actually very important for a company. Yeah. If you ever want to think about building a company after your third, fourth year, you need to slow down a bit because you have to become a better person to build a better company. Yeah. So if you don't spend time to become better yourself, yeah, there's no way that you would, if you don't invest in yourself, you cannot go in the long run. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Edwin. Yeah, actually, in the first 3 years, right, like you said, you were doing like 16 hours. Like, how much of it was like just pure coding, or like getting customers, or like learning new things? Yeah, because I'm sure there's so much things you discover along the way. Yeah, thanks.
I would say you will need to try to get as much done in 16 hours. I can tell you the coding is probably about 14 hours. Then 2 hours eat. It's eating.
Thanks, Edwin.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Hi, Edwin. Yeah, this is Elvin again.
Yeah, hi, yeah.
So I kind of like the working style of Talenox because you guys offer like remote working. And I think that's very attractive for many people. So that also comes with challenges in a sense. If you have people if you have employees from different countries, how do you match their time zone differences? Like how do you, I would say, determine their working hours so that everybody can be on the same page?
It's a good question for remote working. So how we are lucky because everyone is in Singapore and Malaysia, so it's very easy to sync up. We don't have much meetings. Actually, there's only one meeting every 2 weeks, which is like a team update. So we share openly like, oh, how much money the company is making, what is every team doing. Yeah. So that's the only meeting that everyone needs to attend actually. Then after that, everyone can just sync up on their own with their team members, anything that they want to discuss and stuff like that. So yeah, actually we are very, very flexible that way. However, there's always this thing that people underestimate about remote working, which is loneliness, the social factor. It's quite important. Like a lot of people don't realize that they really need it also. It's just something as simple as just being online with everyone and talking and chatting. So we try to organize it every month once so that it's like online mukbang. I think you just see each other eat and then you talk. Yeah, you can talk about anything like games or what. So there's a gaming group and everyone can play games together if they like. Truth is, some people there's one that left the company because she felt all these things are too personal. Like she don't mix like work life personal all together. But I've never felt that it's personal. I mean, if you want to play games with them, then do it. Yeah, like so that's our culture, I guess. Yeah.
Thanks for the really awesome answer. I guess
No problem.
then, if would you be interested in employing someone who has a kind of like a big difference in time zone, like someone say from the US, yeah, or Canada?
Yeah, of course we will be interested. It's about talented people, and we'll figure out how the time zones to work with them. It's less about it's more. So usually when we commit to such like if someone is really in a different time zone, I always ask the leader like, are you prepared for it? Yeah. So because we need to sync up with him at certain time zones and what or if he needs help, you need to be prepared. So usually that's always the decision making point. Yeah. So if the leader's behind it, then I will always support them. Or if the person needs help, we will always message. So we have an intern in Melbourne now. So yeah, so he got stuck due to COVID and he can't get back to Brisbane. So that's where his laptop is. Yeah. So yeah, like actually he's working on leave. We're together with John, our lead for leave. John actually like when our intern actually works at 11 p.m. And because he's still trying to figure out everything. Actually, John will reply him, and I will reply him also. So it's less about the time zone, more about the people, like who we work with, and are we committed to commit for them to be as a teammate and to work well together. Yeah.
It's really heartening to know that like the leaders are actually putting in effort to compromise on their lifestyle. So yeah, thanks very much for sharing that experience.
No problem. I don't know if I can do it if I still have kids or someone
Yeah,
will
true
expect
that.
me.
Yeah.
But I'll try. I always try. Yeah. We will always try together.
Michelle or Kenrick, do you guys have any questions for Edwin?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. I wanted to follow up on Jerome's question. Jerome had a second question earlier, which was, what were some of the technical learnings when you were starting out? Like, because I think a lot of us, this is our first foray into coding or software engineering at least, and it's kind of, I think people are unsure what to expect that they're going to learn in the first few years, and especially if someone were to go and start a company building a software product, like what are the kinds of things that you had to learn when you were going on that journey?
Oh yeah, I didn't answer that. It's a good question. Actually, when I started, I was doing Python before starting the company, and when I saw Ruby, that's when I tried it out and we use it for the company. So I was actually learning Ruby and Ruby on Rails while building the company. I think after working on Ruby on Rails, I started to fall in love with it. Like I can understand why many web frameworks, whether you use Node, use Python, but they all learn from it. Yeah, it's pretty amazing what the open source community in Ruby did. It's really, really amazing. I think people underestimate the Ruby community, but they really are a bunch of really amazing people. Yeah, like they will still patch and upgrade it. They improve it so much, and all this is really in their own free time. They design and improve a language synthetically so much as well. So technically, I guess I really learned a lot from it because working open source code, there is a problem like when a bug happens. Actually, Rails is so magical sometimes. It's too magical that when certain things happen, you don't know why it happened in a certain way. If there is a certain bug, and you had to start digging through the GitHub, you start digging through the source code. Oh, you realize this thing happened this way. That's why it's like this. So you figured out how to do workarounds. So working open source is really like that. And so those were my learnings personally. And you also had to read through a lot of the gems, the open source, other people open source code. But truth is, it's not possible to learn everything because it's so easy now to just use something and start going with it that it becomes technically challenging to maintain. So the technical challenges always changes for me. Once you start have the process of building, you actually need to learn a lot of other things like the ops issue. Yeah, like for example, if we were hosted at Heroku, it was in the US, how do we shift everything back to Singapore, and how do we scale it? Yeah, security wise, how do we improve the security in the long run? Like how do we get in logging? How do we build the logging infrastructure so that we learn more? And how do they start structuring the data a lot so that we can start learning more from the product? As people use the product, how can we start planning to do all this? Yeah, so the technical challenges always change a lot. And I think that those really took some time. I guess it's also helpful that we always hire and find people that are very interested technically to help us along. So there's always people better than me, whether I would say in the front end in React or in the back end or in Angular, so that we can always bounce ideas to see how a lot of things can work. Yeah. But technically, it always changes a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so some of those topics that you mentioned, right, like DevOps, I also realized this because even in uni, we don't really learn whether it's like, okay, how to host a AWS machine in Singapore, or like how to do security properly, or even logging properly. And even in boot camps, we don't cover a lot of those topics in that much depth because it's just a short amount of time. And so how did you go about learning these advanced DevOps and scaling topics, and how would you recommend everybody else go learn those things as well?
Wow, just read a lot.
Yeah.
You have to read really a lot, like just see the best practices. The fastest way I would say is just to read the best practices of what everybody is doing. If you try to move away from the best practices, you are really going to slow down a lot. But you really need to have a very good reason why you're deviating from the best practices. So when the best practice at that time for us, it was Capistrano. So everybody was using Capistrano to deploy. However, it isn't scalable, and there are a lot of challenges as the app grows. So we migrated to Kubernetes, and Kubernetes, again, like new challenges are that a lot of people talk about it now. So there's a famous blog post about Kubernetes failure stories. Yeah, but we learned all the failure stories the hard way as well. Yeah, like that the whole system just went down suddenly, and we had to figure out why. Yeah, so you really need really good people, really talented people that love DevOps and that already that we can all go in and debug together to see what went wrong, bring up the system and start to understand all these things. So the best practices can get you so far, but so let's say you will learn 80%. Yeah, so the best is to read a lot and learn 80% to get a lot of the things done. But the last 20%, you really need people that I would say have passion in those things. Like I'm very lucky to also meet and know David as well, our DevOps lead. So he actually helped us to roll out and fix a lot of all these issues when it happens. So yeah. So yeah, I guess that's what I can say. I guess it's really a lot figuring out as it goes along. But if you really want to be in this for the long run, then there's really just so much to learn that I think after 10 plus years of programming, I'm still learning. Yeah, there's really just so much to learn. Yeah.
Thanks, Edwin.
Yeah, thanks, Edwin.
Yeah. Maybe to wrap up today, unless anyone has any other questions, to wrap up today, I'll just ask Edwin one final question, which is for our our community of bootcamp students here who are super passionate to go and join the industry, finish their bootcamp, get a great tech job. What would be any advice that you might have for our community of career switchers here?
The starting point doesn't matter. It's always about if you can see yourself enjoying the things that you push out, the feature that you push out and people use, I guess. Working with different programmers and friends. I think the most sad to happen to a programmer is you work so hard on something and no one uses it. So I always try to avoid that. Yeah, really. Like if you can, always try to avoid that. Whether you build a startup or what, yeah, really try to avoid that. Even if one person uses it, that's great. But yeah, there's always like shape something useful. Yeah, yeah. Like it doesn't need to be fancy or it can be a very simple thing. Yeah, but if you really want to be in this for long, you have to enjoy the process of shipping, like learning and shipping, because change is guaranteed. A lot of change is happening. But just enjoy. If you really enjoy the process, you will probably still code when you're 60. Yeah, yeah. So I have some senior engineers that actually really enjoy programming and they hope they can code till 60 as well. Yeah. So and it's a skill. Like I can understand why when I see other companies also like Google, why they structure people into managers and some still continue to be programmers, and in Microsoft as well, because people managing is really a different skill and not everybody really enjoy it or to understand how to lead or a lot of other things. But if you really enjoy the process, you can actually have a very good career out of it without actually think your career path is not like, I would say like the next. I think if a company sees that for you to go up is by being in a manager role, there's something wrong with the company. But if they should value you because your skills are really good or you're improving and they value your skill a lot. So you can start to understand as you join companies how they really value you as an engineer and how they see things from an engineering perspective as well. Yeah, so that's what I can share, I guess. Yeah. It's a great time to be a programmer. Yeah, so just enjoy it and yeah, just shape something people use.
Actually, I got one last question, David.
Yeah.
So, what are maybe one or two questions that when like potential employees ask you, what are some good questions to ask the employer about the company? allow an employee to suss out maybe the engineering culture or whatnot, because and this is so new for all of us. Thanks.
It's a good question. I think you should see if they already practice really good practices inside them. For example, whether they really do mentoring, or whether they really have good engineering practices like there's a good code review process or in place, or they do some form of automated testing, or is the deployments automated, and how they so if they have a good engineering process in general, you can ask, hey, what's your engineering process like from commit to shipping, right? If they already have a good process, or how they or whether they will do internal testing first, stuff like that, or how they want you to code things in a certain way, then I think it's a good engineering company. You can learn a lot from it. Yeah. And you can also see type of engineering challenges that they solve or face, like what kind of things that that makes them excited. Like technically that's very difficult, or or how they want to work with each other on different problems. I guess if the process is generally good, then the firm engineering practices is good. After that, it's always a lot about other politics. Like I would say, why is because sometimes I think an example I can take off is like in Google would be product managers are like gods. They call it gods actually really. The reason is because they determine a lot of the direction of what must be worked on. And sometimes if imagine you ship like Google Plus, will you be proud of it? And can you continue that? It tells a lot about a company actually. Yeah. So or Facebook doing shady things, right? And will you continue to support it? Some people do it as a job. So I think it also helps you align what you really want to be as an engineer, like what kind of things you want to ship for a lot of people to use. So those can actually help you navigate whether you will really enjoy working in the company, like the type of products that they ship and what are they proud of. Yeah, ask them a lot about their engineering practices. Then you can actually figure those things out. Yeah, and personally for yourself is to start thinking. I think a lot of companies value people based on certain skill sets now. Yeah, are you really very good in React or certain things, and they will test you around that and how you're doing it. But skills honestly are interchangeable. But like we are Angular now, and we'll be changing either to React or we haven't decided. So yeah, the practicality is that skills are really interchangeable. So sometimes if the engineering interview tests you really a lot on algorithmic questions, you can start to understand that that's what the engineers care about. Oh, they care about how smart you are compared to them, or whether you're as smart as everybody else and you can solve or study all these academic questions. Then you must also ask yourself whether those are the kind of companies you want to join as well. So you have to start from their interviews. Then you can tell how the entire culture will be like.
Thanks so much. And it gives a very good starting point on how we can start to look out for what's good and not. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Wow, that was super helpful. Thank you so much, Edwin. Yeah, that was amazing. Thanks so much for your time. Thank you.
No problem. I hope I helped them.
Okay, hope we will expect to see some resumes in a few months.
No problem. Yeah, I look forward to it. Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for your questions. Yeah.
Okay. Have a good day.
Okay.
Bye bye. Bye bye.